Yep.
We got the 3,
Yeah.
the 2, and she's the
The
1.
one.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is a Friday night tradition. Whenever this drops, whatever, just assume it's your Friday night with us.
Mhm.
This is the PS Comics I Love You
Yes, it is.
bonus episode. That's right. Bonus. We're in the bonus. Someone has more than 5 fouls. It's probably LeBron. Anyways, I am Kevin Pillow, the voice of reason. I want to say my name first for the first time in 40 something episodes because the man, the myth, the legend, the man who needs no introduction, but we call him the Dark King anyways. He is JR Cabacungan at also not JR Comics 42. And again,
Sure.
you can follow him at Voice of Reason 23. I want to get right into this, brother, because my God, this episode from the get go,
Yeah.
it is this ran the spectrum of every emotion on God's green earth.
Yeah.
And we start off with obviously the fallout from the week before.
Yeah.
John Walker, decapitation or decap America.
Yeah.
Uh I'm stealing that, Dan Casey. But so we start off with some anger.
Yeah.
Everyone's angry. Johnny Walker's angry.
Mhm.
Sam and Bucky are angry because of what happened, but they want to reel him in, and we're going to get ourselves down to a full-on three-way fight here.
Yeah.
Um, again, go back and watch our episode 4 breakdown of what we thought about that final scene, which was, oh,
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
How did you settle into this episode, like from the beginning, like having to rehash the final scene of episode 4?
Well, it's very much having to deal with just like the one thing that I've come to realize about just watching this series is that they tend to pick up really fast, right? Just the after effects of everything, right?
Yeah,
You deal with it instantly. Like when we see in the first episode the reveal of Cap, the new Captain America, and right after that, I'm literally jumping into possibly working with the guy, right? Within the first, wow, like 15 minutes, bro. And with this one specifically, I enjoyed that they really got into it. They
yeah,
talked about they definitely talked about just, yeah, he's out of control. He's off the handle. Granted, uh, it's makes sense, specifically coming from a soldier background, especially coming from a just never being out of war. You know, just
yeah,
that whole understanding, and yeah, just taking it from like it's there was a very poignant moment for me in the show where they try to talk him down, right? And it kind of looked like they did, and it was to the point where this show has this tendency to and I love that they do it, right, where they're able to talk down people from certain cliffs, and then
yeah,
it was just one thing out of interpretation for them who just, nope, I'm falling off the cliff. For this one, they say it was something as simple as a, hey, give me the shield. You gotta let go of the shield, right? And then Johnny just saw that, like, okay, now I know what this is, right? It's kind of because this kind of is juxtaposed with the second episode where we have Johnny Walker on the opposite end saying, "Hey, I'm just trying to be the best Cap I can be, and be really good if I have, be really great if I had Cap, Steve Rogers' wingman." That small part. It's very much how the writing in the show is really smart. I'll say that
but yes, absolutely.
because it really takes a hold of this whole trope of not being able to put your pride down, right? Specifically for men.
Yeah,
I'm not being able to check your pride. Bucky is always Bucky, and for him, from the very beginning, he wanted to take away he wanted the shield regardless, right? The shield was something to him. We understood that throughout the later part of the episode, and the fight, it was good. It was good. I feel like it wasn't the most, uh, it wasn't Russo esque level fighting like I would think of probably the first episode. It
yeah,
was there. It was close. It
yeah,
was pretty close to that level, but like, yeah, okay, cool. It was just three guys trying to hash this out or fight this out in a spot. And granted, yeah, the dude is literally less than 12 hours into the serum. He's going through some things. He's going through his range of emotions, and just does not know how to handle himself, man. But he got taken out. I, it it's always funny to me, the juxtaposition of uh of having two people, specifically a supposed, the person we want as Captain America, and Bucky fighting off against somebody else. Like, the scene calls back to Civil War. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. What do you think about it,
The
man?
the two things I took away from it, and
Yeah.
I hearken back to, um there's so much iconic, how's the word I'm looking for? Iconography. What's
Symbolism.
the, yeah, symbols, I guess, but there's so many callbacks to, like, I really like how they play with the emotions with doing the, there's a lot of, like, little, like, nods to, like, covers and stuff like that. But
Oh yeah.
no, what came back to me was what you just said there, where he was triggered, and I'm watching the fight scene right now. But when you said he kind of talks him down from
Yeah.
the ledge,
Yeah.
and it reminded me back to Avengers 1, where where Tony, Cap, and Thor meet for the first time, trying to chase after Loki
Mhm.
and the Tesseract. And
Oh yeah.
there's a moment where Cap has um um something, I know someone says something, and um he says something like, bring it down, or something
Oh,
like
bring the hammer
that.
down.
Bring the hammer down.
Put the hammer.
And he
Yeah.
goes,
Put the
oh no,
hammer.
don't say that. And he goes,
Yeah.
you want me to bring the hammer down? So it was like, they had Thor, who, again, part of what made Marvel's The Avengers so great was they were having to create the team. They had to bring the team together.
Mhm.
And they finally were kind of getting to gel with the ego of Tony Stark, and the whole, not the holier than thou, but kind of the gee golly shucks of Captain America,
Yeah.
and Thor, who thinks he's invincible. Well,
Yeah.
he's a god, yeah, I guess. But you have these different emotions, and they're trying to come together. And then, like you said, you have Thor, who's the strongest of the three,
Mhm.
aka John Walker, the strongest of the three. He's got the super soldier serum. And you have Steve say, bring the hammer down. He goes, you want me to bring that? And he hammers, of course, down the hammers on the shield, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of the same thing, kind of push over the edge. So it kind of harken back to that.
Yeah.
But there, a lot of what was has been going on, especially since episode 2,
Yeah.
with John Walker being announced as Cap, is you he has to be Captain America.
Yeah.
Where Steve Rogers didn't want to be.
Yeah.
He knew he had to be, but he
Yeah.
didn't want to be. John Walker thinks he has to be Captain America. And it
Right.
harkens back to Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming, where Peter says, I need that suit. And Tony goes, no, you don't. If you need that suit, then you don't need it. And what that means is, if you need the suit to be Spider-Man, then you don't need the suit. You need to be Spider-Man before you get the suit. And
Yeah.
for Johnny Walker, is you have to learn to become Captain America before you can become Captain America. And he's missing that. And I think that they're doing a really great job. And I think, I saw was what's the guy? I can't think of his first name now.
Who? Wyatt?
John Wyatt Russell did an interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
And someone goes, someone asked him, I think it was on BBC One or something like that. And they asked him, what do you think of people hating you? He goes, good, that's the point. I'm portraying the characters, but they think you're a loser, and you're this, pardon my
French.
comparison, you're this derpy Captain America. Good. That's the point. That was the point. You've caught on. Congratulations. It was like when I told my wife, when she saw The Godfather the first time, and she cried at the end, and she says, I hate this movie. And I said, why do you hate it? She explained to me why she hates it. I'm like, no, that's the reason why it's good.
Yeah.
You hate Michael Corleone because he's an asshole.
Yeah.
He's a war hero at the
Yeah.
beginning of the movie, and by the end, he's an asshole.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to hate him.
Kind of putting it lightly for Michael Corleone, but yeah. All right.
But I'm just saying, is that's what John Walker, exactly. John Walker's a war hero who
Yeah.
turns into an asshole.
Yeah. It's what I feel though, like for me, is that even though the most obvious comparison or obvious, critique of John Walker is that, yeah, he's very much that privileged asshole that people see as Americans, right? Right? Or, quote unquote white Americans, right? They come around being privileged and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
To me, this is one of the things I don't like, or because I understand it, is that they will only view him as that. People will only view him as this asshole, wannabe Captain America, without understanding the fact that he is a Greek tragic hero. Like, he's a tragic character, not hero, but like he's a tragic character in the sense
Yeah.
of like he was designed to fail, but in his failure, he was supposed to understand some glimpses of his type of way in his life and realize that for you to then hopefully not fucking capitulate. And I feel that this is something that people are kind of missing out on, because his upbringing isn't that crazy. It isn't, out of the ordinary. He's, again, like we've said for the last 4 episodes now, going on 5, that this guy is a freaking homegrown kid from America. Yeah, he was privileged. He's coming up doing all these things, and he's designed to fail. He's there for you to hate because he's not who you wanted Captain America to be. He's not who your symbol was supposed to be put on.
Yeah.
He was designed to fail, and because of that, we have biases. Everybody has biases towards him, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. You can have biases towards them, but you have to understand your bias regardless. And seeing this view of John coming back home, and going in front of everybody saying, "This is who you designed me to be. This is who you made me to be.
Yeah.
I'm this way because of you." For me, that harkens back to the Deadpool. Oh, there's a Deadpool annual that came about, right? Where everyone loves Deadpool, but he has a crap life, a shit life. Like, he's
Yeah.
constantly suicidal. He wants to kill himself. He can't be with the people he loves. His daughter can't be happy because he's alive, and there's always gonna be people going after him. He can't be with his daughter, and his life is tremendously shit. And people bought it up and loved him for that, because he's a witty character, and he looks at the camera, or he looks at the page and goes, "I'm this way because of you. I can't be happy because of you." It was a very for me, a very meta criticism that I saw when John Walker was in front of people, was in front of the quote unquote government, which I will definitely get into fucking that conversation. And I feel that's a fucking cop out writing trope. But like, when he goes out and said, "I'm this way because of you. I I follow your mandates. I follow all your orders. I'm this way because of you." And I feel people aren't really taking that to heart, or understanding that fact of like this whole of his character design, his character concept, where where even though I'm gonna kick it down a little bit, even though I'm gonna kick this can further down the road here, both Carly and he are very much the same.
Yeah.
They're very now they are definitely in they are because of the events of last episode, right? For both of them, they are definitely stuck within farther within their spectrum of whatever you want to see. There's their quote unquote political leanings, right? She's way hella super far on the left, while he's now super far on the right.
Yeah.
And again, you have Sam and Bucky right there down the middle. And it's just I can't keep harping the fact that the main criticism for John Walker, yes, he is a a very asshole character. It's just
Yeah.
that more so people are more so willing to dismiss his context of why he's an asshole, because he's a white guy, want to be Captain America, but but then the same people are then want to not give Carly that same energy. No, no, but Carly, the reason why she killed to kill these people was because oh, the government was this that. I'm like, that's a cop out. She still kill people.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how it doesn't matter how justified you think that is. She still killed people. That's it. But we'll continue on about. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
And there is very much with the government thing, which is coming up in the scenes. I do want to
Yeah.
talk about real quick before we get to that, to kind of fill in the gaps. So we have the fight scene. What the ramifications that come out of that fight scene are John Walker. First off, Bucky has his arm ripped off. It's or not ripped off. It's deactivated. He hits
A
up
little bit.
against an electrical board, and it shorts out.
Yeah.
So he's incapacitated. John Walker, who is full-fledged roid rage,
Yeah.
rips the wings off of
Okay. Oh,
Falcon,
Sam.
off
Sam.
of Sam. Something we have not seen since the original Winter Soldier, where Bucky uses his little string rope thingy and
Mhm.
is able to rip them out. This
Yeah.
is like these are the Stark. Well, I mean, they've always been a Stark Industries. I mean, the
Yeah.
very original ones, Easter egg, the original ones that were made for Sam and his partner who died. That you talk about that in
Yeah.
Captain America: Winter Soldier. Those were Stark Industry backpacks.
Yeah.
They mention it in that little dossier that uh, that Steve finds. But we get the Tony upgrade, for the Avengers.
Yeah.
We get the Tony upgrade that Sam's been using for quite some time. So one would have to assume they can take a little bit more of a beating. And no, what's Johnny Walker do? And yes, I do realize we've been calling him Johnny Walker. JR and I are just going with it. Go with the gimmick.
Mhm.
So John Walker rips just shreds them
Yeah.
off his back, and I'm like, dude, it needs to cycle off. I mean, this is he's gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But it just shows you how it goes, and it goes back to Erskine. Is the super soldier serum will give you these near godlike powers,
Yeah.
this Greek god physique, and this strength and speed and whatnot. But what it accentuates is, like you said, it magnifies what's right here.
Yeah.
And like you said, John is the poster child of been given everything he
Yeah.
wants. Now, not all. Let's get it out there in the open. Not all white people are like that. Yes, I did live, as this is me personal.
Mhm.
Yeah, I lived a pretty well-to-do life. My
Yeah.
my family was well-to-do. They had ran a successful business, but they busted their ass for it.
Yeah.
John Walker comes from a line that literally everything was given to him on a silver plate. I wasn't like that. I did benefit from a nice living, but I had to earn everything I got. I didn't have the fanciest things. My parents wanted to keep me humble, and I'm trying to do that with my own children. John Walker's character is what JR said, is what a lot of white America has come. And let's face it, it's a 1% of white America too. It's the one percenters that just, again, he's the typical quarterback
Yeah.
dating the cheerleader.
Mhm.
He's loved on campus because he's this Greek god,
Yeah.
and he gets away with things
Yeah.
because he is who he is. Daddy bought him a Porsche for his 16th birthday, blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah.
But again, that's 1%. And it is, he doesn't know how to handle it now that he's, people keep handing him stuff, handing him stuff. He doesn't. As he's older, and he's got this unthinkable power of being A, Captain America, and B, stupidly takes the super soldier serum without knowing what he's taking.
Yeah.
He again is taking stuff that he does not know. He doesn't fully understand. So this has been an eye-opening
Absolutely.
a series. And when
Yeah.
we get to the later part of the series where we talk again, I was so excited that he came back. We do get Isaiah Bradley back, which we will
Oh
get
yeah.
to. But
Yeah.
deep cut here. So going
Yeah.
back to the wings getting ripped off, there's a meeting of the mind. The Bucky and Sam get the shield back. Bucky's arms working. Sam's wings are to shit. They
Mhm.
go and they meet in this hangar. By the way, Zemo still missing.
Mhm.
We do get to see Joaquin back.
Yeah. Walking.
Joaquin comes back, and of course, people don't remember. Wink. Remember, Joaquin in the comic books
Mhm.
is the new Falcon.
Yeah.
Now he is a mutated version of a Falcon. He actually is his genetics are spliced with the actual Red Wing,
Yeah.
which in the comic books is an actual
Like.
Falcon.
Yeah.
But there's a line in here which was great, and I didn't catch it the first time around. Was
You keep it.
Joaquin looks at the wings and says, almost kind of like, I can fix these. And he
Yeah.
goes, hey, Sam, you forgot your wings. And he goes, keep them.
You keep it. Yeah.
You keep them. And so it's
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
maybe he's going to become the Falcon, or
Oh,
part Sam's giving up the superhero life.
yeah, it's easily the when I saw that, I'm like, all right, cool. They're definitely gonna give him. We're gonna see more Joaquin. Good, great.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm happy about that. Just everything about the show that I've seen, right? They put up juxtapositions in this show and comparisons so well, and I remember. Hold on a second. That's weird. Okay, sorry. I remember in the same way. It's another callback for me again, where it's it's Civil War, and it's Steve with the shield, right? And how he just gives up the shield, and we see yeah, we see Falcon give up his wings, and it, the callbacks to this show just from within this episode is so like heavy on it, and I
yeah.
don't and I enjoy that. I like that they the writers and the director definitely knows where they're pulling from with this story. It's yeah, it is like I remember you said that comparison before that this isn't this isn't another Avengers. This is more so like Civil War, a continuation of
Yes.
Civil War for the Russos. I'm like, yes, absolutely right. It is definitely Civil War in the sense of like the themes that they play, the themes of like of them literally splitting down the MCU fandom of like which side are you on type of thing, right? And not only that, but trying to then bridge them together by having so many different like points of views in this situation. And we all kind of knew that, yeah, Sam was definitely gonna give up, definitely gonna take the shield. It looks good on him. It looked good on Bucky too, right? When Bucky has a shield for a little bit, and Bucky gave it up too,
Yeah.
too as well. And like I saw that a little nod back to Civil War as well. Just everything about this episode was really well done.
Really well done.
Yeah, I like that it was a levity episode where it wasn't even though it had a lot of like heavy stuff in it. It wasn't always jam packed action in your face, having to deal with the ramifications of literally no having to see the viewpoint of literally cutting someone's head off possibly, and just more so focusing on like the meat and potatoes without the heavy fast paced action type of thing.
Yeah.
Again, when we go back to John dealing with the aftermath of his actions and having to go, meet with Lamar's family,
Yeah.
that was heavy for me too, man. It's we we always we I always hear this quote, man, where like you always like a man is always at war, or a person you can definitely tell who is at war with by just that dead eye, 1,000 yard stare, and
And
like
that
that
was,
yeah, it was definitely played like he's definitely fighting a war somewhere. And granted, there's an argument made about with Carly as well.
I'm wondering too, if we find it, if we
Yeah,
find out more, because we're like, again, going back to Dr. Erskine,
yeah,
is the super soldier serum magnifies what's in here, but it can
yeah,
also magnify what's in here. And you know uh you know having being someone who's gone through some changes in their life over the past 18 plus months, um he might be harboring some PTSD. We don't
oh,
know. What did he see? Did multiple
yeah,
tours in Afghanistan and Iraq with
easily,
Lamar. He saw his partner, his best friend, get murdered,
yeah,
or maybe KIA, whatever you want to call it. But
yeah,
we're in. I'm at the scene right now where they're in the the tribunal, basically, before the secretary. We
yeah,
don't know who this senator is. If he's a senator, is he a secretary of defense? We don't
yeah.
know.
He's in there, yeah,
But Johnny gets off with a slap on the wrist. He's no longer Captain America.
mhm,
Essentially, he's going to be discharged from the Marines. Which, by the way, we did find out both John Walker and Lamar Hoskins
yeah,
uh, were United States Marines.
yeah,
Again, if you're keeping score at home, Steve Rogers, Bucky Barnes, U.S. Army, Sam
yeah.
Wilson, I believe
Sam Wilson's
was. I think Sam Wilson's also Army.
no, he's Air Force.
Was he Air Force?
He's Air Force.
Okay, and then Rhodey. Yeah, you're right. And Rhodey's Air Force. So just
Yeah.
just keep it, and zero to the Navy. So,
Well, the one
but
thing that yeah, the one
just
thing
but it was going. I wanted to is him absolutely losing control in the tribunal, and
yeah,
it was just like, where he was basically going to get a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
And then he goes, no, no, you can't do that.
Mm.
And now he gets, no, okay. Then in like a split second, he loses everything.
Yeah.
And he has his family, almost his family taken away from him.
It's not. I think. Yeah. Yeah. It's more so like it wasn't the way that I thought about it. Right. He knew his actions, but like he wants to tell him the context of it. Right. I think he was okay with getting the them handing down the sentence, but he just wanted to tell his side.
Yeah.
I feel for me, I think that was a thing. Like he wasn't able to tell his side of the story, what he was going through, why this happened the way he did, and trying to find out his understanding. It was more so for me, from what I saw, and from what I'm interpreting, is that we see the people that he was, the people that designed him to be this way, not hearing him out
Yeah.
and just saying, this is the reason why, this is it. I understand what I'm getting, and I can't say he's fine with it, but like he understood what he was going to go through. He just wanted to tell his side of the story, and he was denied of that, of like just him telling why. And I feel this, it's a big theme for a lot of the series of people not being able to explain, not giving the chance to explain their side of the things, side of everything. We see this with Sam. We see this early on with Sam, with Sam and with Buck. When we see this, obviously with Johnny now, and we see this with Carly. We have a lot of people who are denied to tell their quote unquote truth in situation, and have been people unwilling to listen and unwilling to listen to your truth. It doesn't matter. Here's your actions. I don't want to listen to you. That's what I felt like for me. And I feel like a lot of people are missing that point out. Like this show really does drive in heavily on your biases and constantly show you that you're biased. But then we are biased enough to like continue to go with that, right? And not really when we were talking about the sub the subversion with the Last Jedi, and how that was superly over the head with it.
Yeah.
They were super like, oh no, this that subversion, right? This is a very poignant way of doing that. It's letting you continue on your bias, but the show is telling you why that's wrong. Just slowly telling you that why it's wrong. And not only that, but when you continually let when you continually stop people from telling their truth or telling them their side of the story, things happen this way. And because of that, we have all these ramifications from it. Period. And I enjoy that side of what they're trying to say, without actual dialogue, where they're trying to do the subtext of everything. I freaking loved the just the juxtapositions, particularly in this episode, specifically with how they paired up again Bucky and Sam with John and Lamar before. That Bucky and Sam are possibly the was probably what Johnny and John and Lamar was going to be if they just talked to each other. Period. And this is a very great episode specifically for how people should view male conversations, right? And understanding the fact that this quote unquote toxic male masculinity, right, comes from this. I love that. People totally mess that out because they're big fans of our two main leads in the show, but it talks heavily on toxic masculinity and
Yeah.
how men just don't talk to them, don't talk to each other. This is exactly what happened with John Walker. People miss that out. And I'm like, yo, catch that. This is the reason why men don't talk to each other, because we will be continually denied of talking to each other, denied of our truth, denied of our context. While when you have a healthy relationship, right, with two people like Winter Soldier and Falcon, who are able to talk to each other, or who live or was garnered up in an environment where they're able to talk to each other. Of course, the Avengers, Steve Rogers, Iron Man, all of them working as a team. You see that works out much differently.
Yeah.
Not no much so with John and with Lamar, who again brought up the army, brought around the government, constantly lost people day in day out. They lost people and were unable to talk about it. And it's sad to say, when you have a grief counselor unable to see that in
Yeah.
another military fish in another combat veteran. because he was more so biased with his shield than he was with the person.
Yeah.
People tend to miss that out. I love how you do that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if someone brought this up online after the show aired, if we're going to see the two of them have a little buddy session, little another trip to the therapist office, so to speak. So
I hope so.
yeah, but maybe we're lining up to have a tremendous finale, which is next Friday. So we see this scene, and I'm going to hit pause again here. We see this tremendous scene with Johnny, with John,
And
in the tribunal. He is dishonorably discharged. He loses all of his benefits as a part of being a member of the United States Marine and being Captain America. He's stripped of everything. His wife's sitting there in the court, and I remember when they dropped that nail, it just kind of broke her heart. And same thing with him, is like he's lost. The military has thrown him to the curb. Now I want to point that out.
Yeah.
And this goes along with what I wanted to say before, is I get both sides of this argument.
Yeah.
John Walker, he was angry, he was upset, he wanted revenge on his best friend's death. But what he did was cold blood murder, because he did not retaliate to the person who killed Lamar.
Nope.
He killed essentially a guilty bystander, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
The person who he killed was guilty of something, but not guilty of murdering Lamar Hoskins.
Yeah.
So I can understand his upset. He's got the super soldier serum streaming through his body, enhancing his warped sense of entitlement. That he snaps, and I get that. I don't justify it. It's just like Carly, I get what you're going through, but you can't kill people to get your attention.
Yeah.
And the tribunal, and I think it goes along the lines of what we're going to see later on in this episode with Isaiah Bradley and, for a lack of better terms, the Tuskegee experiments.
Yeah.
And how a lot of times with the military, the Department of Defense and whatnot just throw these soldiers away after they're done. I have family in the military. My cousin was a drill sergeant in the Army. I have multiple brothers-in-law that are members of the United States military, and some of them have gotten kind of jerked around. Some of them have had good careers in the military, but this shows right here is like, though maybe it's justified in this sense, but it just shows you how quickly the United States military sometimes, and I'm not trashing it, I'm right here, I'm rocking the USMC. I love the military. I bleed red, white, and blue, and I support the men and women in uniform, but it just shows you that sometimes the brass kind of just brushes you under the rug. And you see that right now with the growing in real life, IRL right now. We have such a growing homeless population right now, is because these guys go off to war and they come back and much like maybe the blipped, the displaced, these guys are just, in the MCU, these people are displaced. They blip out of existence. When they come back, they're displaced, and the governments, some of them don't really care about them. Same thing with the military. But at the same time, I think in this particular case, the tribunal is justified in it. And it was almost like I said, you're going to get a slap on the wrist, Johnny. Just take it and leave it. Take your thumping and move along. But no, he wants to dig in. He wants to dig in, and when you, that's the problem when you think with rage, when you speak with rage. And again, I've learned this, and again, it's so great because I can identify with John. Is when you dig in, damn it, I'm right. What do you mean? Shut up, you're wrong. And you dig in, and then the other side goes, no, bro, you're done. See ya. Bye. How many times has people in their life, they walk into their boss's office, they're gonna get, okay, JR, really didn't like how you treated that customer today. blah 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 blah. And you go, no, the guy was a prick, blah blah blah. He said this about me, blah, 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 blah. And you dig your heels in, whether you're right and justified or not. But you dig your heels in, and your boss goes, I don't want to deal with this. JR, get the hell out of here. You're fired.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And it's like I said, I could so identify with him and just go like, bro, I'm sitting there, I'm in my head, I'm going to the TV, I'm going, John, shut up, shut up, shut up. Oh, you said one too many things and you got fired. You're an idiot. But it does lead to the big reveal of this episode. For 7 days, JR, we have been teased of a character we have never seen before in Marvel continuity. Now, it's a open-ended thing. You know, people were saying it could be Charlie Cox's Daredevil. Technically, we saw that on Netflix, but is it quote MCU? It was. Could it be? We get to finally see Jennifer Walters. We get to see She-Hulk. That was rumored. And so we see John Walker and his wife sitting in the hallway of this courthouse, and then we hear and the clickety clack, and then we see these high heels begin to walk towards John, and we're like, okay, what is this? And it is a character and an actress we did not see coming. JR, what do you know about? Let me make sure I get this correct. I have to look it up real quick.
Yeah, it's
It is
Valentina Alguera de Fontaine.
Well, you forgot one part. It is Contessa Valentina Allegro de Fontaine. Don't call her Val. Played by what? Julia Louis Dreyfus of Seinfeld and Veep fame. Bro, what did you think about when this character showed up?
You want to talk about, okay, for me, just initially going to it, right? Without hearing her name. You want to talk about white privilege? For me, particularly like, no, if that could be just full on blunt and crude here, I'm like, who this bitch coming through? For me, honestly. And you want to talk about juxtaposition, understanding, your people's supposed absorptive hate towards a similar figure. This is who you should be mad at. She is absolutely everything, both in history of comic. In my quote unquote small history in comics, reading comics, is everything that I detest.
And you're talking about Val.
No, not Louis. The actor is amazing. The actor's amazing.
By the way, again, I know we come across as a pair of chauvinist pigs when we talk about this, but I got to say, Julie Louis Dreyfus has got to be what, in her 50s?
She's 60.
60. Good for her.
It's great.
Because when she comes rocking up in these shades right here, in my background, that's her, by the way.
Yeah.
I was like, God dang, dude, she's looking smoking. And I think she has to, because JR, who is Val in the comic books, because she goes by another alternate ego.
Here's the thing. Supposedly she is Madam Hydra, but then Madam Hydra was actually multiple other women in the comic books though. But like, just going back to
Sorry, did you say Hydra?
Yeah.
Oh, Hydra.
Madam Hydra. It's just more so like when she first came on, she like full on when I talked about bias, I was fucking hella biased. Like, oh no. Here we go. We got the hoity-toity freaking, government, quote unquote government official coming in and literally sitting between the husband and wife, the white husband, African American wife, splitting them between just to get her ass, just say, no, I deserve to sit here. I'm like, this is the bitch you should be freaking hating. And I'm glad that she's in the freaking show, man. I'm
so great.
She like when they got her, I'm like, wow. There is literally no one Marvel can. Anybody is on the table for Marvel.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyone.
And by the way, I think his name is Reggae Jean Page.
Who?
He's from Bridgerton. He was the Duke in Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Supposedly signed with Marvel. That's why he is not coming back for season 2 of Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Wink, he might be coming to a Wakandan nation near you in Black Panther 2. Now, I want to do a side note real quick as we do see, we were brought to the Sokovian memorial where we get catch up with Zemo, but real quick, I want to go back to what you said, kind of break down the fourth wall a little bit here about the not just the characters, but the actors and actresses that play these roles.
Yeah.
Marvel has set the tone for casting since day one.
Yeah.
You have Jon Favreau as the architect. Say what you want about Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige technically was not in charge of Marvel Studios when they created Marvel Studios in 2008. When they went to Hall H in 2000, I think it was 2000. Actually, technically, it was taken like 2007. I think they created Marvel Studios in like 2006.
Yeah.
I think they went to Hall H in 2007. Iron Man comes out in 2008.
Yeah.
Feige is not technically in charge. There's another man in charge of Marvel Studios. I think Feige was just the executive producer. So he was kind of the architect. But really and truly, they gave the keys to Jon Favreau, who was an established name. And then they turn around and they cast Robert Downey Jr. to the point that our good buddy, I know we've shit on him the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. No, it's not Jeff Loeb. It is we've been shitting on Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Say what you want about him. Okay. Joss Whedon walked up to Kevin Feige in a restaurant in Hollywood shortly after the announcement of Robert Downey Jr. And he says, "Bravo. That's a dope hire, dude. That is perfect."
Yeah.
And it was, and it's been proven that. But you have RDJ, Robert Downey Jr., who even then was a big name, but he was a recovering alcoholic. He was really almost thrown out of Hollywood, but that's a massive name in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then they go and get Gwyneth Paltrow, Oscar Award winner. You have Jeff Bridges, Oscar Award winner.
Yeah.
You have at the time you had what's his name that played Rhodey in episode.
Oh yeah. Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard, Oscar nominated actor.
Yeah.
So you have a damn good crew right out of the gate playing these major characters. And also, by the way, I didn't realize that Tom Morello was also in Iron Man 1.
Oh, wow.
Just a little throwback. I've been watching a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but they nailed it. But then you start adding Steve. You add Chris Evans, who was a growing name. Chris Hemsworth was a growing name.
Yep.
And then you go through over the years.
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson's in the second movie, Oscar nominated. I think Oscar winner, I believe. You replace him with Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle's an Oscar and Emmy and Grammy or Emmy Award winner. So just name after name. And then you get the celebrities. I mean, you had Elon Musk was made appearances. You've had what's his name that lives over here in Indian Wells? The Oracle. The guy that runs the tennis tournament. What's it?
Was Lawrence Fishburne?
No, not Lawrence Fishburne. But you had Lawrence Fishburne. He was in Ant-Man. But you see all these names. But you got to understand, Julia Louis-Dreyfus came from a show. She was in Veep. She's an Emmy Award winner from Veep. Yep. But she comes from a show, one of the biggest TV shows ever.
Yeah.
And that is Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And Jerry Seinfeld himself has been the most valuable actor in Hollywood since he went off the air. I mean, he's made such a career out of post Seinfeld. But Julia Dreyfus, who's had some failures, but Veep and Seinfeld are her two big things. You don't get an actress like this in a Marvel movie. I'm sorry, I'm a nerd. You're a nerd. We love this shit, but we understand. We know you can't just go like, let's see, IMDb. Who just won Best Actor? We're not going to get him. Yeah. Screw. We got Mahershala Ali. He's going to play freaking Blade
again. Like the crazy thing is that cool. When Mahershala Ali before his tenure with Marvel, specifically Iron Man. No, not Iron Fist. It was the other one. It was
I forgot when he was in Luke Cage.
Luke Cage, right? Before his tenure with Luke Cage, he was a bunch of other stuff before that, right?
He was fantastic in House of Cards.
Dude, yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
The man, it was during that era where like he was about to blow up. And then he won so many freaking awards. And then he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to Marvel and be Blade. Cool.
Not just play Blade. I'm bringing the movie. I'm going. The dude won an Oscar, right?
Yeah.
Dude won an Oscar. Goes out and parties, gets drunk, has a great night, goes to the Vanity Fair party,
Oh yeah.
whatever. Wakes up the next morning, Monday morning. Hey, Mahershala, what are you gonna do?
Blade.
Yo, Feige, what are you doing for lunch? Calls up the most powerful man in Hollywood right now and says, "What are you doing for lunch?" Feige goes, "Dude, you just won an Oscar last night. I'll meet you at the Grove or something like that or whatever."
Yeah.
And he goes, sits down. He says, and this is Mahershala said. He goes, "I sat down and said," he went, "Blade," and Feige went,
Ooh,
"Done.
cool.
Here,
How
sign,
much you want to get?
please."
How much do you want to
Yeah.
get paid, and which
You
director
just
do you
won an
want?
Oscar last night.
Yeah.
You're pitching me at lunch. You're pitching me less than 12 hours later
Yeah.
on Blade, a rated R movie. It's going to be rated R.
Oh,
You can't do it.
yeah.
And Feige's going to, of course not. So going back, he could do no wrong. This has been such a well casted show.
Yeah.
Period. Sebastian Stan is fantastic as Bucky
Really
Barnes.
great. Oh
Sam
my
Will.
god.
I mean, I was unfamiliar to it
Mhm.
to an extent with who Sam Wilson was
Yeah.
before the Winter Soldier. But when I go back and look, even the old books, look at the. I mean, you go back to the old Captain America and the Falcon books from the 1960s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Anthony Mackie.
Yeah. And also we tend to forget too, like I'm kind of going back on, the celebrity, or like, getting actors started, right? I've been rocking with Sebastian Stan since he was in Political Animals, right? Old like 2012, 2011 USA Channel show, where he played the closeted, well, he was put in the closet, the gay son of an ex-US president, where his mother was running for president. Right.
Yeah.
I was rocking with him in that freaking show, and I was rocking with Anthony Mackie when he was in freaking 8 Mile.
I'd completely forgotten that he was in 8 Mile when he got casted.
He was the guy he's the guy that gave him back the mic at the end. I'm like, oh crap, that's Anthony Mackie.
And he's great. He's absolutely fantastic in it. And I know we'll get back on Falcon Winter Soldier, but same thing with Mahershala Ali was when I have not seen his movie. What was it? What was the movie that won for Best Picture?
Oh, was it? It wasn't The Green Book, was it? That was
No.
last year.
I do want to see that.
Yeah.
But it was the one. Doesn't he play like a trans or a gay guy?
It's oh no, it's
something midnight.
No, yeah. It's the one. I remember that freaking one where, like, originally it was supposed to go. The award was supposed to go to that one show, La La Land. But then, like, the director's like, no, the people from
we lost, dude. Yeah,
no, we lost. No, it's from this people. Yeah. It's
Oh, I can't remember what movie that was.
Oh, it's something. Yeah, I'm gonna find it right now. My bad.
But anyways, when like I said, I didn't know who he
was. In Hidden Figures.
What?
Oh, he was in Hidden Figures. That's right. I totally forget he was in Hidden Figures. Mahershala Ali.
What did he play in Hidden Figures?
Jim Johnson. I totally forgot he was in Hidden Figures.
The guy that does all the music for WWE.
I think this guy.
He must have been one of like the Moonlight. That's it. When I saw that, I was like, to me, it was like he was one of us, because Mahershala Ali, I didn't know much about him. And when I saw him in the very first episode of House of Cards, which, by the way, is a fantastic show, and if you can get past Kevin Spacey and his antics, he is very good. Frank Underwood could be one of the greatest TV characters of all time, and Kevin Spacey plays him perfectly. But Mahershala Ali plays a lobbyist in this political drama on Netflix, and he's just so good because he's so charismatic, and he's got he's just he's silky smooth. I mean, he's just but he carries himself with such confidence. And when he won for Moonlight, I was like, because I was such a fan of him, I was such a fanboy for him. I was like, and plus he was in Luke Cage. I was like, he's one of us. Like, he's right here.
Yeah.
And it's to me, it was like the Wakanda Forever now, to me, I think is more than just Black Panther. It's like our thing for Marveldom, is when he won when they won Best Picture, he won Best Actor. Then he turns around and does Blade. I was like, dude gets it. Like, he's one of us, and he won an Oscar for doing this drama, and now he's coming back to do a Marvel flick. So
Yeah, just to kind of gush a little bit, Mahershala Ali, I totally forgot he was in this freaking like this fringe like sci-fi show called Alphas. I was watching that show back in 2012. I totally forgot he was in that show. So he definitely was in definitely was in the sci-fi field before. And yeah, I totally forgot he was freaking Alphas. Oh my
and the
god.
fact that the guy, and it could be that he saw Ryan Coogler and went and said, hey, you know what, dude, we made a bunch of, and go with me on this. We made a bunch of money making a black movie about comic books.
Yeah.
Why let's go ahead. Hey, Mar, start flipping through long boxes. What else black characters they got? Okay, they already got the Falcon. They already got War Machine. They already got the Black Panther. Who else they got in here?
Blade.
Oh, Blade, dude, Wesley Snipes. Hell yeah, we'll do this shit.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they have to have a cameo for Wesley in that movie.
They have to. At this point, I know it's like it's seen as a colonial quote unquote thing where like, oh, you're exposing this shit for money. I'm like, yeah, you damn well should be. We get more freaking people like Mahershala Ali playing, strong black freaking characters. Hell yeah. Freaking use Marvel Studios as much as you freaking can so you get more, so you can make billions of dollars and make more black movies with more black characters. Hell the fuck yeah.
Go and want to know why? Because Marvel has made a shit ton of money doing that.
Yeah.
Marvel's success is based on making a quote unquote black movie or a black comic book without it being a black comic book. And that is the X-Men. And for those of you who are watching for the first time ever and going, what are you talking about? You cannot sit there and tell me that in the mid to late 1960s that a movie about a bunch of mutants is not about the civil rights movement. It is. And Stan Lee said it was.
Yeah, it's the representation.
So Marvel is all about making the quote black movies or the black comic books. And Mahershala Ali, I have no problem with it. And everyone's like, oh, they're, anyone who's watching this, oh, they're just doing it for the they're SJW.
If you picked up a freaking X-Men book, dog, you are an SJW. If you have read X-Men the last 50 years, you're an SJW. If you definitely find yourself to have some form of understanding and feelings towards any of these characters on SJW, Black Panther, on X-Men, Black Panther, what else? What the other Captain Falcon, Sam Wilson, freaking people didn't really read Truth, Red, White, and Black.
No, but it's blown up though. The sales on that one has gone through the roof. Yeah.
And a bunch of other things. Let me finish. And a bunch of other books, right, that talk about a different perspective, bro. Then you are definitely an SJW in this sense. Come on, man. This is stuff we've grown up with.
And don't get me wrong, you go back and you watch or listen to our very first episode.
Yeah.
We talk, both JR and I both talk about one of the things that we hated about America Chavez's book that came out a few years ago was it was too much of an SJW book. It was too much. It was like they weren't even being subtle about it. They're just like, we're just going to slap you in the face with it. And it's like
the plot wasn't around her character. It was around
her sexuality.
No, not even that. Like, I wish it was about her sexuality, but if it wasn't even about that, it was more so on social issues that had nothing to do with her as a character.
To me, again, we'll get back on topic on this, and if you can go back and watch the very first episode of PS Comics I Love You, is the problem with America Chavez and the problem that I have with SJW books is, as opposed to Falcon the Winter Soldier, where they tell a great story that also has social justice issues swarmed in. When you make it just about one issue, or you make it about one thing, like make it about the issues, but don't let it cloud the way of telling a good story. And coming back full circle, that's what they did with this episode alone.
Here's the thing about that, right? don't think we're for particularly if you're writing anything like that, right? Anything of that note, don't think we're stupid, right?
No,
Don't
we're not.
insult our intelligence, right? Don't continue to bash us over the head by saying, "Hey, this is bad." Point, point, point. This is bad. You should feel bad, right? You should feel angry that this is bad. Don't do that. We know. We absolutely freaking know. And for a to circle back again, and for this show, how they do it very poignantly. And understanding is that rather than tell you, that the whole scene specifically with when both Bucky and Sam were walking down the street in Baltimore and cosplayed them over, right? That was a very poignant scene. That was a very
Yeah.
beautiful scene. It was a very real scene, but they didn't talk about all the other aspects, and it wasn't showcased in the manner where it was beating us over the head with it.
Yeah, I was the words just took it right out of my mouth. Is they did not have to beat us over the head with it. They let it be. They let it breathe, and
Yeah.
that is what has been so great about this show is they have let it breathe. And I had a conversation with someone who is much older than me,
Mhm.
who lived through the civil rights movement, is a white person,
Mhm.
and though I don't think they hate black people, but I think that they are ones that are one of the people that go like, there's no room for politics in comic book movies. That's all fucking comic books are since day one. The very, I mean, other than Marvel Comics #1, which is Namor versus Namor the Submariner versus the Human Torch, Captain America, which was not even a timely comics. It was not a Marvel Comics until the 1960s or the 1970s.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
Captain America #1 was a political
political book.
propaganda magazine.
Yeah.
And we just said
But
X-Men is about the civil rights movement. It's about quote politics.
yeah.
Black Panther, even the Avengers,
Yeah.
Nick Fury and the Agents of Shield, and Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos. It's politics gets in there. I mean,
Yeah. It's
so
just like
anyways,
it's just more so if you like just because you don't want to hear it doesn't mean it's not there type of
yeah,
thing. Well, for these aspects, and just to kind of circle back, yes, and go back to the story. I love the fact that Sam is definitely caught in between, a multitude of things, right? There's again this juxtaposition of Sam being the middle of everything, and with with just kind of you break it down. Sam is, of course, being the middle of Carly and John, right? Their political leanings or whatever,
yeah,
and he's the center of that. In another aspect, being a military official, government, and soldier, being middle of that. Understanding that you have to have that he's a soldier because he has love for country, but at the same time, he understands and knows that sadly sometimes the government don't give a fuck about their soldiers. Like we said before, they don't give a fuck.
sadly they don't.
They don't give a fuck. And like I think that's a bigger issue that needs to be addressed in this that has been addressed in this show, that you can definitely that these young men and women can go fight their wars for you, can go die for you, but you won't take care of them when they come home. A la John Walker, a la this man,
Bucky, yeah.
Bucky,
And,
a
and,
la freaking him.
and even Sam, yeah,
He had to freaking be he had to be
via
a
VFW.
counselor. Yeah, he had to be a grief counselor for veterans who had to come back from war, right? And so you see a lot of the thing where the government's failing in this aspect, and you also see him in the center of the idealized where he should have been Captain America and who he needs to be, right?
Yeah,
His separate role of like what is the world and what's the world from a black perspective.
yeah,
When he comes back there and goes to Isaiah Bradley, oh my god, that scene was
yeah. Oh,
freaking amazing, bro.
that might be.
Oh,
I'm going to say it right now.
go ahead.
This show deserves to be nominated for an Emmy.
Yeah.
It does. Uh, with the times that it's in right now, whether you agree with
Yeah.
whether whatever opinion you have on the current social political landscape that's going on in the country right now,
Yeah. Oh,
this is a poignant show for the world today. And I
the
like that it's not they're not hiding anything. It's not being like, oh, that's what they're saying. It's subtle enough that you catch it. but it's not beating you over the head with it
Yeah,
and
it's
whatnot. So
the line that really took it for me. And then you have to think about this line and really understand the whole totality of this line, where they say they will, like, America or people will never accept a black Captain America, right? When he looks at Sam for
yeah,
that, I'm like, yeah, that's the freaking truth, bro. That's the truth. And for people who say no, we can, weren't you one of those people that didn't want Sam to have that shield? You wanted Bucky to have it? Weren't you one of those people way back back in 2012, when he was first in the comic seen as Captain America, that people had all this animosity thrown at him the same way they was thrown at John Walker. Again, the whole thing of like him being a tragic character, blah blah, right? But the same energy that was given to John Walker was definitely the same energy that was given to Sam when he first was introduced as Captain America, first time, and they wanted to give to Bucky for like the second or third time, right? Oh, it's
yeah.
too early, Oh, Captain, or Sam didn't really deserve it. All this other stuff. I'm like, bro, this is the reason why there can't be a black Captain America, because no one, regardless, no one's gonna freaking accept him. Because even when he shows you so many examples of why, like, I don't, like, I said this before, man. I don't care. At this point, dude, I don't care if he's not seen as Captain America. He is Captain America, but he's definitely will be seen as the moral arbiter for the MCU going forward. They go to him for the right choices. People will go to him to see if this is the right decision to
Do
do,
you see
because
the?
of just all of the certain aspects of his life that he's definitely been through and definitely seen. Go ahead.
Do you think that they'll keep Isaiah around as a character? Whether
I freaking hope so.
I hope so too. And
Good
it
God.
seems like they're not giving up on the nephew.
No, no, dude.
What's his name?
Yeah. 1 second. I got 5 minutes. I'll find it
Anyways,
for you. Yeah.
I'm at the point in the show right now because, like I said, for those of you who don't know, that are watching or listening along, I usually watch along with it. And one of my favorite scenes was when Bucky tracks down Zemo at the Sokovian memorial, and
No.
obviously Helmet Zemo,
This is a great
lost
character.
everything in the Battle of Sokovia due to
Yeah.
Ultron and the Avengers, and he's there to pay his respects,
Mm.
and and Bucky tracks him down, and they're going back and forth talking about him being the Winter Soldier, and that's when Helmet sees the gun in his hand, in talking about Bucky pronouns,
Yeah.
and Bucky has it at his side, and you could see him kind of getting a little nervous, and then he draws the pistol, and that's when you see Zemo going like, "Oh shit,
Mm.
he's the Winter Soldier again," and he
Mm.
points it right at his face. Now, as an actor, you put me in Daniel Brohl's position. I have every assurance in the world. I've checked the gun myself.
Yeah.
It is empty.
Yeah.
I would be shitting my pants
Yeah.
if you point a 9mm pistol in my face.
Yeah.
And I just the emotion, the raw emotion in Daniel Brohl's face, where he's you brought a vicious character like Zemo to his knees, because that's how powerful he knows. He studied Hydra. He studied the Winter Soldier program. He studied Bucky Barnes. He
Mm.
knows what he can be. He knows that, like that, he could be a stone cold killer. And
Mm.
when he pulls that gun on him, Daniel Brohl, the actor, and Baron Helmet Zemo,
Mm.
my life's over. And you could see it in his eyes. His eyes are watering and they're red and bloodshot. And when he clicks that trigger and it's empty, and then he just drops. It was a great shot. We saw it in the trailer. We see
Yeah.
it now where it fits in the storyline. And he sees him and he drops the bullets. And he's like,
Were we watching the same scene? You and I?
yeah, the Sokovian scene.
No, yeah, but like I didn't see the part where he was crying, where he like tearing up and all that.
He did. When he right before it, not teared up, but it's almost that moment like, I'm scared.
Yeah, okay.
He does not look like, go ahead, pull the trigger. He's like, and
Yeah.
you look in his eyes. I love watching people's eyes,
Yeah.
and it's a credit to Daniel Brohl as an actor. Is you see it just close enough that his eyes are just turning a bit red, that he is scared.
Hmm.
My life is over. I'm going to be with my family now, but my life is over. And he clicks the trigger and you see him like he kind of just faintly twitches.
Okay. Hmm.
And he's like, oh, okay, I'm
I
still
had
alive.
okay. I had a different interaction with that scene for me.
Maybe it's just because, like I said, I'm such an eye person, and
Okay.
I'll have to go back and watch it because
Yeah.
I'm not here. But
No,
again,
no.
going back, that shot of
I
the
kind of
shot
want.
of
Yeah.
of the bullets is
Yeah.
just
I want to touch back on that scene though, because like for me, it felt like he was doing that because he said before or after that, I crossed my name off your list, right? I did it for you because inevitably he's gonna have to come to terms with that. But what I saw, right? My interpretation of that scene was that, you know, like okay, I see where you're going with this, and it, Zemo, this whole series felt like a man who knew about consequences, and it definitely felt like he knew, he knew the plan going in, right? And it felt for like to me like he was kind of waiting for him to do so. He was
I'm
waiting to,
seeing that now.
yeah, and like it feels like,
It's a bit of both.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely a bit of both. It feels like if you kill me, that's fine. It was warranted for what I did to you, type of thing, right? Yeah, okay, this is the consequence of it, and that's fine. We're okay though. Like you and I were cool. The way who you were built this way. You were designed to be a killer, but you didn't want to be a killer. That was the thing.
You know what it reminds me of?
But
Go back to Return of the Jedi. Strike me down with hatred, and because there is a moment I rewatched the scene. There is he pulls the gun on him,
yeah,
and he kind of quivers for a moment, like,
yeah, remember that scene.
I called his bluff, and he
Yeah,
put the gun in my face. But then he puts the gun, and he's just like, and he's interested. He kind of almost leans into it,
yeah, yeah,
and he has this little slow smirk. But you at the same time, he has the little smirk on his face,
yeah.
like, yeah, go ahead, shoot me. I'll be
Mm.
right. I'll be justified. But at
Yeah.
the same time, his eyes tell you, like, don't shoot me.
I
Don't shoot
guess.
me.
Yeah.
I get it.
No, but yeah,
Daniel
it's
Brawl,
great
Daniel
actor.
Brawl, great actor.
Great
But
actor.
yeah, there's a little
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's right. But it just it hit me is it takes me back to Palpatine and Luke Skywalker. Strike me down, use your anger and prove me right that you are full of fear and anger. And when Bucky pulls the trigger and the
Empty.
bullet and it's empty and he drops the bullets and
Mm,
Zemo goes, wait, what? And
mm.
then cut to he's all yours, girls. And there's the Dormalaji. By the way, there's our girl. There's our girl from Cathedral City,
Yeah, man, I'm
front and
glad she's getting
center.
work, man. I'm glad she's getting work,
Glad
bro.
she's getting work right now.
Yeah.
She's getting that quarantine check right now.
Oh yeah.
We do see the Dormalaji take Zemo back to
The
Wakanda.
raft?
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. We're taking him to the raft.
Yeah.
Now, last time I checked, who's in charge of the raft there, Mr. Cabacungan?
If I remember correctly, that was it
I believe
wasn't,
that
but
is one General Thunderbolt
wait,
Ross, aka the Secretary of State.
that's right.
Last time we checked, that was who was in charge of the raft.
Yeah.
So maybe wink, wink, we're gonna see the Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
But
Possibly.
I did say I love this scene with Ao and Bucky
Yeah.
was you basically saying you may want to lay low and not come around Wakanda anymore. You know,
Yeah.
just
For now.
basically like they didn't take too kindly to you siding with Zemo, but
Mhm.
then she calls him White Wolf, and it's like,
Yeah.
don't come around, but
Here. We'll try.
like
I'll try
right
to smooth
here,
things out. I'll try
we
to smooth
got you
things
right
out.
here, Bucky.
Yeah.
And then we get to the next scene, Baltimore, Maryland. We see Sam not hiding it. He has
Yeah.
in his hands the case, the shield, and he does interact with Isaiah Bradley's
Eli.
nephew,
No, his grandson. His grandson.
grandson, and it is
Eli Bradley.
Eli Bradley. I was thinking Elijah, but I always keep thinking it's Elijah.
Wait, is
Eli
Elijah.
Bradley, aka the Patriot. I think they're showing us enough of
Yeah.
Eli that he's gonna be long-term MCU.
Yeah.
Um
This whole thing,
this
everything's set up. Everything's set up to be long term.
yeah,
Everything's set up. So, just
everything about this from the moment he walks in the backyard
yeah.
through the scene on the couch is so poignant. And the casting of, again, I don't know the actor from A Hole in the Ground, but the casting of this guy, the way they the makeup artist deserves a lot of credit
Yeah.
for Isaiah Bradley alone,
Yeah.
because he looks like that comic character. He is ripped right from the pages. That picture that you put up there a couple of weeks ago when Isaiah made his debut, and it was the page from from T'Challa and Aurora Moreau's wedding.
Yeah.
It ripped right from the pages. Obviously it's not from Truth, Red, White, and Blue, because he was a young man then. But as Isaiah Bradley became older, this guy right here, the guy we are seeing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is exactly the guy we've seen in the latter years in the comic books.
Yeah. Just looking back at the actor who played Isaiah Bradley, Carl Lumbly, he actually has been in a couple. He's been in a lot, and I feel like we have seen him before. We've heard his name before. He's done a lot of voice acting work as well. He was actually Martian Manhunter in Justice League Unlimited and Justice League the animated shows.
Oh, you know what? I did read that when I was looking him up before. You're right. He did have some comic book work.
He was in a lot of things, man. It's just more so like he's definitely one of those actors that were passed over because sadly enough there is systemic racism and this type of thing where they're not, and like there hasn't been a plethora of black roles in Hollywood, sadly, thankfully, hopefully with the uptick of wanting more stories with black actors and black characters. Now, thank you, Marvel. Because of it, we'll find that. But just that casting was perfect. That casting was really great. I hope we have like enough people's interest to probably want to see this version of Black Captain America in his younger years and see what that looked like.
I would love to see a flashback scene.
I would definitely like it because we definitely need to see the MCU version of the Tuskegee experiments, right? Like how that happened, why was it a government funded thing, happened, and how it's so easy to erase a person's history.
And that's
I love that they touched upon that. Like when they want to, they can erase you. They can erase your history. They can make it look like you never existed, and that happened to this man. And it's funny the type of back and forth that he and Sam goes through, where he goes, "You're just bitter old man," and he goes, "Well, you haven't lived long enough yet," or like, you're being the bitter old man or some of that, and like you didn't open your eyes. You have yet to open your eyes to this thing. You'll become bitter too.
The only problem I had with the scene, and I think it's not to the creators.
Yeah.
It's me as the viewer getting involved with the scene, reacting to the scene. There has never, ever been anything that has made me believe that Steve Rogers, though yes, he was white, blonde hair, blue eyes, there's nothing about Steve Rogers the person in the history of comics, the history of the movies, that makes me think racist. Steve stood up for everybody. He stood up for the bullies. He stood up to bullies. He stood up for the little people. I know it's like, well, Kevin, it's fictional characters. Imagine Steve Rogers, Captain America. Okay, during the civil rights movement. What side would he have taken? I honestly think he would have marched with Dr. Martin Luther King. He would have put a kibosh to this kind of crap. He would have been like, this is not, no, this is not what, these guys didn't sign up for this. That's one of the reasons why, like, I would have loved to have seen the interaction between Chris Evans as Steve Rogers and Michael Coulter's Luke Cage. Because Luke Cage went through the similar thing. He was in prison, falsely imprisoned. Goes through, in order to get out, he goes through this experimental space, and maybe it's not the same. Maybe it does come from the same line of experimentation. But the problem that I had with this scene as a person was Isaiah Bradley's um, uh, opinion of Steve Rogers
Mhm.
and for Captain America. And
Mm.
but that's, I think this is a point. This is a
I'm
credit to the director, to the writers,
I'm
to
definitely
the
gonna read about this. Go ahead. Go ahead.
to the acting
Mhm.
of why I feel that way.
Yeah.
I'm going, wait, no, Isaiah, that's not Steve Rogers. He's
Mhm.
not that way, because he basically told him, "Fuck you, fuck that Shield, fuck Steve Rogers, fuck that blonde hair guy." He basically kept saying like, "Screw that white boy,"
Mhm.
because he doesn't know Steve Rogers. And I I was sitting there going like, Sam, he's your best friend. Stand up for him. And I went, and after the scene was over, I go, I wouldn't change a thing about that scene.
Yeah.
And my reaction
Yeah.
goes back to the people reacting to John Walker as Captain America after the first episode,
Mhm.
because that's not our Captain America. And again, going back to Wyatt Russell saying, "You got it. That's why you hate me." Is I'm not Steve Rogers. I'm the fake Captain America. You're supposed to hate me. You're supposed to be this. And I think it goes back to the same thing with this emotions. Is I am supposed to understand,
Yeah.
or I'm not supposed to understand why Isaiah
Yeah.
Bradley hates Steve Rogers. He just sees him. It's just another prototypical
White
poster
guy.
boy, white boy.
Yeah.
And
Here's yeah. Thank you for bringing up that scene in particular. The everybody's chasing that great white hope type of thing, right? And Sam going, well, no, Steve didn't throw you in jail for 30 years, type of thing, right? It this again, this show has definitely put up the theme of symbols.
yes,
Isaiah wasn't looking at Steve Rogers. He was looking at Captain America. That symbol does nothing for him because that symbol, because he said before, when Sam was about to open the shield, he goes, "The red, white, and blue does nothing for me." Like that brings up a lot more different things. That's the thing. Symbols in this, we have
yeah,
to understand that the
you're
symbols
right.
in this
Great point.
story have to make everything right, and those who represent those symbols have something embedded in us, right? And so the same way, the same people that feel a type of way or type of hatred about John Walker because what the symbol represents. To us, it's a good thing. But to people like Isaiah Bradley, who was, and in this case, African Americans who were oppressed under this symbol of America or the flag, whatever have you, this is how they feel about it. It might be good for you, but it hasn't done it doesn't have it hasn't done shit for me. And for Isaiah Bradley's case, like I understand that you're looking at the person because you know the person, but the symbol threw me in jail and killed all my friends and got me away from my wife. And she died knowing that thinking that I died and I
He's
didn't.
looking at it as the at the whole. He sees it as,
Yeah.
again,
That's yeah,
it's
yeah, that's the thing. One second, let me finish this point
no
real
go
quick.
no go sorry.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. That's the thing with symbols that's being thrown in the show. When you look at the symbol and it means something more, you forget about the person.
Yeah,
Right? You forget about the cracks underneath the person. At the same time, you also forget about the great things that person has done with that symbol. And it's people tend to I love the fact that this has been thrown out so slowly where it's a generational thing. These symbols represent a generational gap where it's gone longer than just this show. It shows you that it has gone farther
yeah,
than just a simple shield that Steve Rogers have represented, right? Because like again, we as fans, we know the inner workings, somewhat of the inner workings of Steve Rogers' life, because we saw his life in technically the first person or third person, technically, right?
yeah,
While people within the show that live in the show, right? The Americans, the the Isaiah Bradleys of the world, and those they don't know Steve Rogers' life, but they know Captain America. He's a symbol. They don't know Johnny Walker's life, but he's Captain America. He's a symbol. They don't know Sam Wilson's life, but he's the friend of Captain America.
yeah.
They know the Winter Soldier, but they don't know Bucky Barnes. And I feel like this is the thing that people are forgetting that this is the reason why we have biases is that because we know someone's personal life or interworkings of their life, we tend to be more biased towards them. We tend to rock with them more because we've seen their history, we've seen their struggles, And
Mhm.
specifically with Isaiah Bradley, yo, I don't care about your guy. What the symbol that your guy represented to me was 30 years of pain and suffering and the death of my friends. You're chasing after some white hope. That white hope nearly got me killed. And I understand that you got your friend and you rock with your friend and he's not that. But that's not gonna give me 30 weeks. But that is not gonna give me the 30 years of my life that I took back. Or my wife that died. And we have this show really does make you want to delve deep into the psyche of the individual and how they view their lives,
Yeah.
period. And I think that is definitely something that people are missing, where when you have to look at the characters, you look at the characters, right? Why is Sam and Bucky so offended when John Walker got the shield? Because he's not Captain, because he's not Steve. And that thing should be, and that shield should have been to someone else. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'd agree. But then that means that they got their that they then have their blinders on with him, who was obviously hurt, who's obviously dealing with some trauma, who's obviously should not be in the field because he has to deal with some other shit, right? But at the same time, because they're also guys in the military, they understand this whole thing of needing to act and needing to be in the battlefield, right? Because the battlefield, again, this is the thing that with a lot of young people is that they don't understand soldiers or the
No.
inner lives of how being a soldier works. Or like they're just stuck there. They're stuck in the battlefield. And Sam and Bucky are biased towards Steve Rogers because of what that shield represented and not seeing John Walker. And this is how he led to his actions. This is how, John has led to that. And again, we see this we see the show bring up these personalities and bring up these different ways of understanding people. This is a lived experience. These are my lived experience. Like, oh no, you shouldn't feel about this certain way. You shouldn't feel about the cops a certain way. Or you shouldn't feel the or you shouldn't feel about soldiers a certain way, right? The one of the biggest examples I got, right? Like, oh man, freaking John Walker is just like the cops, right? He's corrupt, he's privileged, he's all this stuff, right? Like, no, he's a military official. Well, this is how people, these are how soldiers are. What are you talking about? Sam and Bucky are soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna say that about Joaquin as well? Nearly every soldier, including John Walker, right? The representation of soldiers specifically in the show as decent people is great. I love that.
I think the lone military slash police officer
Mm,
that has been, other than you have a few
yeah,
of the dirty cops or stuff that were
yeah, of course.
fringe characters,
Yeah,
but there was the main character. I think the only one was what was his name, Simpson from what's his name, the guy from Jessica Simpson or Jessica Jones,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
um um that played that was the cop, and granted he was brainwashed
yeah. Oh,
by
Frankenstein by
the Purple
uh
Man,
Yipper Man.
by Kilgrave. um
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's just more so like we have to understand, yeah, not everybody is a representation of the bias that you have against a certain amount of people, right?
yeah,
And I love that the show is showing that. I really do. It's definitely subversion worked right when you really try to break it down. It doesn't hit you over the head. Is They're doing it very slowly. They're letting it breathe. They're doing it very poignantly, and they're trying to make you look deeper into it. I
yeah,
love that idea. And but like yeah, like the way you feel about Isaiah, about him not, telling say like no, this is Steve was a good person. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely Steve was a good person. The symbol that he represented wasn't good to a lot of people though.
yeah,
So I like it's again, like I love the fact that this fucker, and I'm pointing at Zemo, just brought it all out in in like the second episode. He talked about it. Symbols
yeah,
are a lot of things to a lot of people. When we talk about Carly again, Carly said that shit should have been destroyed, right? Because to her, that symbol again is evil because what how she views it and how it represents. But please continue, my good friend.
as the show goes on, obviously we see Sam go back. He's now um he now doesn't know what to think. He doesn't want to be. He wouldn't be the first black Captain America. Obviously,
Yeah.
that would be going to Isaiah Bradley, though he never donned the stars and stripes. But he was the first. He was a black super soldier. They do talk about how Steve goes behind enemy lines against orders, and rescues the Howling Commandos, including minorities, a black man and a Japanese man, who became again and a Frenchman who became members of the Howling Commandos. And Isaiah goes behind enemy lines, saves his friends from being murdered by their own country, and is thrown in jail for it. And that's unfortunate.
It's crazy.
It was just a great, crazy juxtaposition. It was just like, and part of me goes, okay, the difference being Isaiah was more public about it because, of what it was, whereas Steve's mission was more covert. But that's reading too much into it. But yeah, it was really strange because I went there. It's like, Steve did the exact same thing and was rewarded for it by becoming the Star Spangled Man with the plan. He became Captain America. He got the vibranium shield. He got the new suit from Howard Stark. And then, like I said, Isaiah gets thrown in the brig for trying to be a good person. But fast forward, Sam is reeling with a decision to take on the shield. He has the shield. Does he just throw it away and kind of like just forget about it and just move on with his life? He goes back to Louisiana with his family. Rewind, by the way. Madam Hydra over here, Val, whatever her name is, made a great line. Okay. The Wakandan, the vibranium shield, Captain America's shield. She goes, let you in a little secret.
Gray area.
The government doesn't own the shield. He goes, it's like, it's their little secret. They make you believe that they have the shield, and they didn't. If you really follow the lineage of Cap's shield, the original vibranium shield belongs to Howard Stark. It belongs to Stark Industries. Howard was able to get Wakandan vibranium out. Was able to get vibranium out of Wakanda. How he got it, we don't know. It could have, who knows? It could have been a story that they could have told an Agent Carter or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Who knows? Maybe they will have someday, and bring back what's his name that played Howard Stark so wonderfully, the younger version. But if you follow the Yellow Brick Road, that shield does not belong to the federal government. Yes, technically Howard Stark had a contract with the United States government to make weapons, but he brought that product. He said that that's his equipment. He didn't make that with government money. He found that, he manufactured it and brought it to the table. So Val points out the shield doesn't belong to the government. The shield doesn't make Captain America. I thought that was a great line. We're now back in Louisiana, and I thought it was great where they were talking about getting this part for Sam's parents' boat out of the back of this truck. And of course, what does White Wolf do? He picks it right out of the back of the truck. But Bucky is here in Louisiana, and he comes bearing gifts from our friends at Wakanda. He brings this big old suitcase. We don't know what it is. Great line from Dan Casey on Nerdist.com. Said it's like Pulp Fiction. It's like that briefcase that that they're trying that they're trying to, Sam Jackson and John Travolta are carrying around, trying to get back to Ving Rhames. And that is, what's in it, and I thought it was a great line, though. Maybe that was a good callback. Maybe it was Gwyneth Paltrow's head, like, what's in the box? Deep cut from Seven. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
What's in the
wh-
box?
what's in the box? Well, we
We get
have
a
to know what's in the box. I think we know what's in the
oh
box.
yeah, easily know the box, but like we have a buddy montage, man. We have a uh, I think
Oh, it was so great.
this is the show that people wanted for a very long time in the sense of like this episode, like we just wanted them to be buddies, right? We wanted them to be friends. We wanted them to like to hang out and be, Bucky, Sam and Bucky, right? And we got that scene because again, we're gonna speak on another heavy topic. We have a lot of fans coming up nowadays, right? Where interaction is through internet, texting, typing, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and but for everyone else before this, right? Most of male interaction was just doing stuff,
yeah.
right? We men for us specifically, we work on cars, we work on I don't know, working out, we go fix something, we build, whether it be a house or we build, society something, whatever, right?
Exactly.
That's our interaction for being men,
Yeah,
guys. This is how it's always been. Talking to each other about our feelings hasn't really come about until the last 10, 20 years, maybe even less than that, actually. And again, this show has shown very easily what male um not toxic masculinity, but more so male um what's the word I'm looking for?
it points out the idea that men don't talk about their feelings.
Yeah.
They let it bottle up inside, and that can create. That's why a lot of
Okay.
people say
Yeah.
that.
It's more, this show really puts a point on male mental health. There you go.
Yes.
That's the thing I wanted to say. Where our mental health is incredibly different, particularly with other, again, where it's gonna sound sexist, but then from women specifically, right? We don't talk about our feelings, right? Because it's different. It's different from men specifically. Is it a can men, try to sit down and open up their feelings? Possibly. It's a possibility. It's a probability. Yeah, we can. We could talk to it.
Yeah.
But there's something specifically that men do for guys who do it, right? Specifically in this context, guys who've been in the army, guys who've been in war, that they go out and they build shit. They go work on something. They try to process this stuff in a productive manner by actually working on something to get their mind off things. And then it goes to a point where where when Sam and Bucky were throwing that shield around, where they talk about it. It took them
Yeah.
days to really talk about it. That's the thing for the men. Like it's weird being a man. Again, I think we had this conversation before. It's weird being a guy in today's age because
Yeah.
because it's there's a lot of things that even though then people are gonna say, oh no, men, they rule the world and they do all this shit. Okay, yeah, cool. The 1% of us that do, but then everyone else, we deal with this shit where
I'm
it's
sorry. I'm pretty sure that Beyonce said it's women run the world. Sorry. Just
yeah,
correct you.
okay, you got me there. That's right. That's right.
Just kidding.
Women do rule the world, and Ariana Grande, God's a woman. Okay, but here we go.
If you ask, in Kevin Smith's universe, it is a woman, and it's
Yeah,
Alanis Morissette. So
that's true. That's true. That's
anyway,
right.
sorry, bud.
Forgot about that. But yeah, just going back onto the topic, we're like men who who not revel in their masculinity, but more so have accepted masculinity. This is how we talk.
Yeah.
Honestly, is it easy for us? Is it easy for men to just sit down and talk about our feelings and get on with some heavy shit? Nah, it's hard. It really is. It's hard for men. It's easier for women because they're way more in tune with feelings. Absolutely. Can't deny that. Can't deny that. It has been through it has been verified. It has been through many studies. Yeah, women are way more in touch with their feelings. They're way more proactive in multitasking. That's certain part of your brain where they're able to do that. Men, simple-minded, single focus, we do one thing. So, productive wise, we try to fix shit
Yeah.
and we get open with our feelings. I feel this is a good part of the show that they're representing, that this is how men talk. This is how we productively are able to talk in a positive manner. Because yeah, we want to run away from our shit. We have a guy that's been running away from this shit. And I'm pointing again to freaking Bucky that has been running away from this shit for 70 years
Hmm.
because he's unable to deal with it. And it's only when talking to his good friend, he's a grief counselor, but another good friend and another person who has been in wars, in
Yeah.
in the military, that's able to understand and connect with it and say, hey, you still have nightmares. Yeah, I do. After throwing shit around. Like, this is how men talk to each other. I
Yeah.
love that they do it. This is the positive mental health. Juxtapose that with fucking John Walker, and Battlestar. They were right there about talking about it. They were still in it. And they
Yeah.
can't and it shows that the job is taking over the person, and it has become destructive. And if you have yet to see it, it's hard for men to get open their feelings to a fucking counselor. Some people it's easier to do so. I'm not saying that all men do it, but Bucky's reaction is a very, normal reaction. Not just men, but yeah, people too. It's hard to
Yeah.
get open with people you don't know, right? The
Yeah.
only person that Johnny Walker knew that knew
Was
him like that, other than his wife, died saving his ass. And the only people that can understand him are these two fuckers,
yeah.
Sam and Bucky. And like I'm saying again, man, they let each other down, but that's fine. It creates a great story. And but I just love the fact that it shows the show is really showing you, like, dude, like, yeah, men process this stuff differently. They process grief differently. They process war and their actions, and they process, you know, being lost in a time that you think that's past you. They process being alone and understanding that the family that you had is not there anymore differently. That they process. This is how we process. It's.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they can't cry about it. Obviously they can. But for us men, single-minded motherfuckers, it's easier for us to work on stuff and then to have something proactive, to be productive from it, and then possibly talk about it. Honestly, this is how this is how I process. And I just hate this whole thing that's been going around by saying, oh, why can't, why can't men just talk about their feelings? Simple. Because all this stuff that we've been holding in will come out at once, and then we'll get angry, like John Walker. We'll throw shit around, and then no one will want to freaking talk to us because that's what you said to begin with. This is how you slowly go into the male psyche and understand, like, okay, we gotta level with you. We gotta level with you. We gotta see where you need to be and not deny your story because you're a man, quote
Yeah.
unquote. This is it, man. This is a positive light, a positive way of understanding grief counseling, understanding how to act, and understanding that this is just how guys process shit. Again, I will say this: not all guys are like this. Not all guys will will just open up with absolutely every devil in their closet, every demon in their closet. No, 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 no. Some guys will, and
Yeah.
we are coming in a generation where it's easier for men to do that. That's great. That means we're making positive strides as a community and a society. But for all of us who grew up with this stuff, this is it. This is how we process stuff, man. I love this freaking episode for showing that.
And there's a lot to unpack. I mean, we could go in depth more about obviously the scene um with Battlestar's parents and
Yeah.
sister.
Mm.
Um, I think that John Walker's inability to um do just what JR said, and come to grips with his grief, where he's sitting there and he's being hugged by um
His
Lamar's mom, and
mother.
he's
Yeah.
just like, I don't know what to do. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, you see that, again, John Walker, just he has so much bottled up inside him, he doesn't know what to do with it. And we will see that again later in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward again, Sam and his sister Sarah dealing with
Mm-hmm.
the parents' estate, dealing with the boat.
I love Sarah.
Finally, Sarah decides, I'm not going to sell the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there was I did like that was kind of cool, was there was a little interaction between Sarah and Bucky,
Oh,
to the
yes.
point where even Sam goes, "Don't flirt with my sister." Um,
Oh
and
man.
then of course we got to see the training montage. We got to see we got to see Sam getting jacked and working on the shield and nearly taking his head off a couple of times. And he's
Two montages in one episode.
so we
Fight
see that,
montage. Yeah.
and
Good.
then we get to see he opens up the case, and obviously he opens up the case because the Flag Smashers, who are getting organized, they're putting together a team, including a man who just wants to kill the Falcon.
Oh God, yes.
By the way, Carly Morgenthau, or what is her name, Kellyanne, whatever the actress's name,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
slip of the tongue. No one caught it. I was the one that caught it. She refers to Batroc as
Mm.
George. She calls
Oh.
him George, and it was so quick. No one, Danielle, my wife, didn't even catch it. Not a lot of people on the internet caught it.
Mm.
And Batroc is, I don't know if Batroc's his last name or his first name. He's just referred to as Batroc the Leaper. So it could
Mm.
very easily that he's named, maybe he's named George Batroc. Um, but it's just kind of funny that the actor who plays Batroc is named George
George
St.
St. Pierre.
Pierre. And
Oh.
so it was a real quick line, but it showed because you know Batroc comes in with all these weapons, and he was like, well, how can I, who do you have? Is this it? This is all you have? And he goes, no, we're organized. And she uses the that social media app to gather the more Flag Smashers and presumably more super soldiers
Yeah.
right there in this park. And it's when they start to pan up that they realize that that's not just any park, that's Central Park, and they're in New York City.
Yeah.
And why are the Flag Smashers in New York City? Joaquin Torres, I think it is,
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
then gives Sam a call. Says, Sam, we figured this out. There's a ping right before every Flag Smasher attack. There's a ping on the web, and look at these locations. Boom, 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 and they show up. They show up just within mere moments before this attack. And just recently there's a same ping in New York City, and he goes, it could be a them using a VPN
Yeah.
and making it look like they're in New York and they're really not. But
Right.
that's when Sean or Sam looks up at the TV screen and sees the general counsel for the GRC
Mm.
meeting in New York City. He goes, no, it's not. And that's when he decides to suit up,
Yeah.
and we don't see it. He opens up the briefcase. Of course, they cut away for a moment. They do show that this GRC does become infiltrated by the Flag Smashers,
Yep.
and that's when Sam pops open the hood, opens up the briefcase, has this little freaking Pulp Fiction moment, and then
Mm.
wham, black credits. We're
Yeah.
done with this episode. Oh, what the hell?
It was good. I want to touch upon. We got to talk about Carly and her development as a character now, and again, as well as of course from my personal opinion, this fucking cop out government's the bad guy trope that I fucking hate.
Yeah,
like like the Carly is exactly the opposite of John right now. She's well within her, like, nope, I'm doubling down. This is what my beliefs are now. Oh, originally, looking at Sam. No, I was gonna hurt your family, Sam. But I'm gonna kill you now. I'm gonna have this guy kill you now, type of thing. I'm like, this is a juxtaposition of both characters again, of both the U.S. agent now, who's gonna be named as, and Carly Backdrop. We're like, not Carly Bachak, Carly Morgenthau, and it is George Bachak, right? His name is actually George Bachak. I
okay,
just found
that
out.
makes more sense. It
I
was
just found
just
out.
so funny that it just
Weird,
seemed
right?
like maybe
Yeah,
she had and that's happened before in shows.
yeah.
So
Which is fine. But like Carly is absolutely everything who she's designed to be as well, right? Where she is the left leaning or far left leaning political figure, right? Where
Yeah.
she is definitely okay with like that conversation she had with the Asian character, right? I guess
Yeah.
her somewhat semi uh like I guess not allegiance, like just more so moral indicator, right? In that sense,
Yeah.
right? Where he goes, "Oh, we're working criminals now," and she goes, "Oh, did you hear? We're criminals," and she kind of rebelled in that. I'm like, oh, okay, so she's kind of falling deep in as well, right? And I'm kind of hoping they go the route of like what they did with Daenerys, where she just tortures everything. Or if they want to make a point, that would be a great point. We're like, all right, cool. Then if you think John Walker is bad, and it is bad, it is horrible, he's freaking dead. Don't get me wrong. Then you have to understand that she's kind of probably bringing the same energy, right?
Yeah.
Because you have these two very similar characters on opposite ends of the spectrum. They have to kind of enact their way of how they're viewed in the political realm,
Yeah.
and how just Carly is very much becoming who she thought she wasn't going to be. She's very much becoming absolutely everything that Zemo said she's going to be. She's a supremacist. She's infiltrated a U.S. city with the intentions of killing U.S. Or with the intention of killing government officials because of something she doesn't necessarily understand. Only she understands that 20 million people are being told to move out of their homes that they didn't originally lived in and go elsewhere to their country.
Yeah.
And that's horrible. Yes, understandably so. But then you also have to understand the fact that, again, 4 billion people just came back into existence. There is no food. There is no possible way to get this done within 6 months. If you remember correctly, the timeline is that it's only been 6 months,
Yeah.
just the blip. And so for you to want answers now is a great thing for another great thing of like, just showing a thing about youth and wanting things now, 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 now. That's a great little thing. But it's more so like you're unwilling to look at the whole picture.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do with 4 billion people? Are you gonna leave them out in the street as well? Like that thing. But again, childlike naivety. I understand where she's coming from, but she's willing to take on New York. Just what is up with Marvel and the importance of wanting to destroy New York? I don't know, but it is what it is. And but your thoughts on Carly?
Same thing. I think she wants to be mature beyond her years,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, use for example,
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Ben.
Mm-hmm.
With great power comes great responsibility,
Yeah.
and she wants the power. She wants the
Thank-
responsibility,
Yeah.
but she doesn't want. She doesn't. She didn't earn it.
Yeah.
You know,
She doesn't want the she doesn't want the responsibility. She wants the power, but she doesn't want
not the
the
responsibility,
ramifications.
the ramifications,
I,
responsibility.
yeah. Thank you for saying that line because I remember totally forgot to add this line to last episode. Where like the great quote about Abraham Lincoln where he goes, "Every man can stand adversity. If you want to test a man's character, give them power." And that
Yeah,
so very much represents both sides of John and Carly, where you're given power. You think you haven't been, but you've been given power. You somehow as a international terrorist got into the USA, into New York, nonetheless. And you
and
also have now we forgot to point out too that Sharon Carter now is actually possibly in cahoots
with
with
Val,
mm-hmm. Possibly. Who knows? Or whoever
the power broker is.
the power broker. What we knew that beginning, but like
But it
once
should
you
be noted too, by the way,
yeah,
for those of you keeping track at home. I don't know if we mentioned it in this episode already, but
yeah,
Val, the character initially,
yeah,
again, was a member of Agents of Shield.
yep,
She was the love interest in the comic book. She was the love interest of Nick Fury.
mm-hmm,
Um, Later revealed to be Madam Hydra.
yep,
A member, she ruled over Madripoor. She was later revealed to be a Russian spy. Maybe that was what part she will play in Black Widow.
mm,
She also was a Skrull.
Yep.
So, but the biggest thing about that was she also during her time in Shield she ran a crew called the Fem Force, and
Mm.
in that group it was five, I think it was like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the Fem Force 5, which is of course the team that Uma Thurman was talking about in Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
Another callback to Quentin Tarantino, which, by the way, Quentin, you want to do your last movie? Give him the keys of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Quentin Tarantino doing Moon Knight. Yes, love it.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but yeah.
But nonetheless, I forgot what I was going to say. I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
But no, so Val, she ran a group called the Fem Force, and on the team was Sharon Carter. So
yeah.
there's a connection in the comic books between Val and Sharon Carter. I
Yeah.
think my prediction is Val is the power broker.
Yeah.
And that she also is maybe Madam Hydra.
Maybe that.
And that much like we've known for years, Hydra never goes away. Cut off one head, two will take its place. And
Yeah.
by the way, wow, I love Sharon Carter, by the way. Just absolutely love what's her name.
Oh yeah, Emily Van Camp.
And Valley Camp. Just
Yeah.
Woman Crush Wednesday. I know it's Friday, but just listen to it on Wednesday and just go with me on that.
No, but like, yeah, just going back to that, yeah, we definitely see her alliances, and it makes sense. Of course, she's not give a freak about USA because they've been trying to find her and possibly try her for being a terrorist slash enemy of the state. So understandably so, that's her motivation.
For doing the right thing.
Yeah, for doing the right thing.
For giving Sam his wings back and giving Cap his shield back. And yeah, I know that they tore up lip sync for freaking Germany or whatever it was, but still.
Yeah, that was the point. But just more so to get back to that point of just Carly, like we see both spectrums just going down deep into this rabbit hole. Just full on deep end. We see the results of what the serum can possibly do to presumably good people. Right? Period. Presumably good people. And then they just jump off the deep end. I cannot wait for next episode, man, and see how all this kind of just wrapping up.
How it wraps up.
Oh my, it's interesting.
Well, we'll end on this because we've been going for almost 2 hours on this.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go right ahead.
Also, as a writer or someone who tries to write, having the whole the government was the bad guy all along is complete fucking bullshit. I hate that trope. Absolutely hate it. Absolutely freaking hate it. Or the one old white dude is actually the bad guy all along. That senator. I hate it. It's lazy writing. Come on. We've seen better writing from this series, and I hate that that's the case. I really freaking do. It like, come on, make it more intricate. You can't just be like, but you can't be just at the end. We're supposed to hate this guy. No, come on, man. It's much more. It should be much more interesting than that. How do you deal with 4 billion people coming back to the world? How, as a government, as good people who want to do good for these people, kind of say that, I don't know, it's messy. I would love to see the bureaucracy of it, but that was just my take. It's for me, it's fucking horrible writing to then end it off on like, oh no, the freaking rich old white dude is actually the bad guy all along. I'm like, come on, man, it's fucking lazy writing.
Maybe the senator is the power broker. Who knows? Because we don't know his name yet, by the way. We don't know the senator's name, so maybe that is the long lost power broker. We don't know. I will say though, going back and watching this, I do like the fun interaction between Bucky and Sarah. I think it's kind of funny. I just saw another moment where I think that's what led Sam to think, "Hey, don't flirt with my sister." I will say real quick, a great throwaway line. It was when Bucky comes down to Louisiana for the first time, and they have problems with one of the compressors. And he comes over, and Bucky grabs a wrench and starts twisting it, and Sam looks at him and goes,
"Why don't you left arm?
Why don't you use your mechanical arm?" And goes, sometimes I don't even think about it, and I'm right-handed. It's just like, oh, so good. And my wife and I popped for it too. We were both laughing. Like, it was just, and Sebastian Stan delivered it with such. He goes, because it's showing there. He's like, I know I have the arm, but I don't want the arm again. Going back to the theme, the arm doesn't define me. I
Yeah.
am not the Winter. I am not the Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier is not me.
Mhm.
The arm doesn't define me. The shield doesn't define me. I define the shield.
Mhm.
I don't want to be Captain America. I know I have to be
Yeah.
John Walker. I have to be John. I have to be Captain America.
Yeah.
Steve Rogers didn't want it,
Yeah.
but he knew that is what it was needed.
Yeah.
Um, I guess need and want.
Yeah.
Um, Cap John Steve Rogers needed to be Captain America.
Mhm.
John Walker wants to be Captain America.
Yeah.
Bucky doesn't want the damn freaking arm, but he knows he needs it, but he doesn't let it define himself. And then
Yeah.
he just goes, I'm right-handed, which is I thought was so great. Was like when he got his arm cut off, it's like, oh my God. Anytime like I'm having to deal with a shoulder injury and an arm injury, and spending a times the last few weeks, I've gone like freaking cut the thing off and give me a freaking Wakanda arm. Okay. I'm tired of this crap. But that's the difference is like Bucky loses his arm,
Mhm.
and now we learn some 90 years later, he technically didn't need it. He's right-handed. I just
Yeah.
thought it was so great. It was just
Yeah.
like I think it was a great nod for anyone. Again, the subtleties of this show is maybe there's someone with a disability that looks at Bucky as a person with disabilities and goes, his disability doesn't define him. So
Yeah.
I got that too. I thought that was a great message. It was just
Yeah.
it was a throwaway line, but it was like there's some deep cut to it. Fast forward, there's so much Easter eggs we could hunt on this particular episode, but we don't have enough time. But let go to the one we have been waiting for the entire series. It took us about 3 episodes in WandaVision to finally get a post-credit scene. It took us 5 episodes in Falcon and the Winter Soldier to get a post-credit scene. And that is after all the credits are done, we hear like almost like Iron Man, we hear this clanging of metal and sparks flying from welding. And we see John Walker in a warehouse creating his own super suit.
Yep.
He is creating his own shield. He is using his own medals of honor on the shield. So we are seeing his obsession with wanting to be Captain America.
Mhm.
And I think, like you said, JR, we're going to see that he's not going to be Captain America. Sam Wilson is going to be Captain America. And John Walker is going to have to settle for being the U.S. agent. And I thought it was a great little scene. He's making the homemade shield. I'm curious as how that comes out next week's episode. Where would you rate this show? Because really and truly, it's maybe not my favorite,
Mhm.
but it's probably one of, if not the best
Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah.
I still really, really, really enjoyed episodes 2 and 3 when they
Yeah.
go to when they go to Madripoor and we see Zemo with the mask on and stuff. But
Yeah.
this show has been like this. It has just taken off. It's been balls to the wall since from moment one. And
Yeah. It
again,
is.
it's
Yeah. It's definitely, I will say, the most important episode.
yes,
I'll say that. It was definitely the most important. Not my favorite episode, but the most important. I will say that.
well said.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for supporting the show. Wherever you may be coming from, we've seen a lot of traction coming from some subreddits there's a bunch of subreddits supporting Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well as WandaVision. I will post this video. Well, actually, take that back. I have to post the podcast. For some reason, Reddit has really kind of clamped down on YouTube posts for some reason. I don't know why, but nonetheless, I don't get it. So yeah, anyways, we're gonna post some stuff on Reddit. If that's where you see it, thank you for joining us.
Yep.
But as always, facebook.com/PS Comics I Love You. Same thing with Instagram at PS Comics I Love You. PS Comics I Love the letter U on Twitter. We're going to be a little bit more involved. We're going to start doing more questions of the week outside of this episode and our main topic episode. So why don't we go with this? Other than in the comments below here on YouTube, or if you want to give us a review on any of the podcast platforms, or shoot us an email, pscomicsiloveyou@gmail.com. If you want to drop us a little comment, what did you think of this episode? And the big question of the week, What do you think is Val? We're just going to call her Val. I know she told us not to. We're going to call her Val. What is Val's uh, job? What is she doing in this show? Who do you think she is? Let us know in the comments below, or shoot us an email, or comment on our social
Yep.
media page. And I cannot wait. Julie Louis-Dreyfus is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
That's crazy. That's a crazy
She
get.
may or may not be Madam Hydra. Could Hydra be coming back? We don't know. Are the Thunderbolts coming? We don't know. Batroc the Leaper is back.
George.
It is all hands on deck. Episode 6 of season 1? Question mark. Kevin Feige has been very coy about the idea that he may go back on his original word, and there might be a second season of WandaVision. There might be a second season of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We do know this much. Loki is the next show to come out on Disney Plus for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That'll be on June 11th. It'll be bookend between Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki. Of course, on the Lucasfilm side is Bad Batch coming out on May 5th.
Hell
I know JR is stoked about that. We may have to do a breakdown on Bad Batch, because I know there's a lot of people that have been commenting on that. But by the way, speaking of Loki already greenlit for a season 2. And also, What If is starting to get some traction. What If is going to be split up into 2 seasons. We get season 1 this summer, season 2 next summer. And I'm being told that we are imminent of a trailer for Hawkeye. We are so close to getting some footage from Hawkeye, which is supposed to come out this fall. So thank you so much, guys, for supporting the show. He is JR Cabacungan at also not JR Comics 42. Hit him up. He's got some great stuff that he wants to flip on his eBay page.
Books see that Sunday.
Dude, freaking books are flying. I've been helping out a guy doing some CGCs at the Asylum the last 2 weeks, and the books are selling right now. I mean, I'm telling you right now, like this go real quick. We'll end on this note. We talk about the character behind me, and that being, of course, Contessa Valentina Allegro de Fontaine. First appearance in Strange Tales number 159, August of 1967. So we're talking Silver Age, people. This is straight up Doctor Strange and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on the front cover. High grade. Just today, it's up to $310. Mid grade, $110. Low grade, $30. You can find this book low grade, and you could get your monies back. You could probably find this book right now, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not on Sunday, but you can find this book right now in a dollar bin and flip it very, very quickly. But it's up 250% over the last week just from this information. And again, go to Key Collector to get more information. They're not a sponsor of the show, though. I may have to hit them up about it.
Be awesome.
But guys, it's a great time to be collecting. If you need more information, I recommend going to your local comic book store. If you're here in the Coachella Valley, check out Sid or Asylum and talk to Javel if he's ever around. He's busier and nuts right now. But I am the voice of what's up.
Also, guys, for our Sunday show, we will show you just a bunch of stuff that possibly you guys want to collect too. So just a little shout out to that one for there.
Oh, that's right. We're gonna be doing covers this week, or
covers, just basically just like stuff we picked up the last month. I know we've been talking mostly about shows and nothing really to the comic book side. So we're gonna just have
might be a flex pull week.
Yeah, so it's really cool.
It's been a while. And I got a flex. JR knows what it is. I got a flex. It's been something I've been after for a while. I'm looking forward to it. So maybe that's what we'll do. I think Jared nailed it right on the head. We'll do a ultimate flex pool episode. Thank you so much for supporting the show. I am Kevin Pillow, Voice of Reason 23. Again, he's the Dark King, JR Cabacungan, also not JR Comics 42 on Instagram. And we are out of time, folks. Till next week for more of the Falcon and Winter Soldier, episode 6. If not, catch us on our regular episode. I think it's episode number 42 later this week. And enjoy it, guys. And as always,
peace.